What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here, talking a little Sorare NBA for week one of the playoffs, the first full week of just playoffs. The games are set for this week, so we do have projections on the site ready to go. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. As you may know by now, Stochastic is an authorized partner of Sorare, which that means if you do use the link in the description of this video when you sign up for Sorare, you will then, if you buy 5 cards on the marketplace, you will get a 6th card for free. You just have to use the link in the video of this description when you sign up. Then this deal will apply to you, where you just buy any 5 cards on the marketplace, you will get a 6th card for free. It will be a limited card numbered to 5,000 that is tracked on the Ethereum blockchain. And those limited cards, I mean, those are the ones that I play with primarily. I'll show you my account a little bit, but that's typically the contest I play in. These limited contests, as you can see on the screen, limited champion, limited contender, those are the primary contests that I focus on Sorare. So you'll get a card that you can play in one of those contests just by buying any 5 cards on the marketplace. Highly recommend taking advantage of that deal while it's available. And of course, also the another thing that you get, because we are partnered with Sorare, is we have projections on stochastic.com, and they are free. So anybody, even if you don't belong to Stochastic, you can use our Sorare projections, and I believe they are the best projections out there for Sorare. So definitely check those out as well. You can find those by going here. I'll show you. If you just go to Stochastic, you go to NBA, free NBA DFS data, Sorare NBA projections. That's what we're looking at right here. These are our Sorare projections, and they are extremely useful. As you can see, the columns are players' projection for the upcoming slate, and this is based on their best game in the slate. So, and you can ignore this games column. This is not correct, obviously, because I don't think we know exactly how many games each team has necessarily. It's a little bit trickier now in the playoffs, so ignore this column. But I talked to Alex Baker, who does these projections, and he told me that our projections are for a player's better game on the slate. Of course, I guess maybe it doesn't apply as much now because now we have the same teams playing each other all week, but maybe there's a little bit of difference in home and away. I don't know exactly, but the projection here is for the player's best game in this week. Last 10 average, of course, works as a player's salary. Functionally, it is their average fantasy score over their past 10 days, but it also does function, I know, past 10 games, I believe, but it does also function as the salary that is used to keep under the salary cap for these contests. So, for example, a limited champion, the salary cap is 120. You have to pick 5 players, but your MVP, whoever has the highest last 10 average, does not count against your salary cap. So in this one, it would be your 4 lesser players, not counting the top one, have to stay under an L10 average of 120. So that's essentially your salary cap. Limited contender, similar, except it is an L10. The cap is just 110, and there is no MVP spot. So you need to choose 5 players, all of them counting as your salary cap. So you have an average of 22 per player to stay under that 110 cap. So that is what the L10 column is. It's just basically telling you what the player's salary is. Value, very simply, is just projection minus L10 average. That'll give you a player's value. That's the amount that they're expected to score over their L10 average in this period. These 3, L7 limited, L7 rare, L7 elite, these are just how much it actually costs to buy the cards on average based on recent sales. I think this is probably the last 7 days sales. So these are the average costs. They're not going to be exact, but to give you an idea of how much it costs to buy a card of a certain player of a certain tier. But extremely useful here because so there's the 2 primary things that I look at in our projections. Our just projection. So for example, in that limited champion contest, your MVP is just going to be the highest projected player. So the optimal MVP is always going to be Joel Embiid here because he's the highest projected player on the slate. Doesn't factor in the L10 average at all because it doesn't count against the salary cap, so it doesn't matter. So this just I always start by looking at the highest projected players, think about who I might want to get there, and then I typically fill in with some value plays. So as you can see here, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, our best value play on the slate right now with an L10 average of just 9. He's started the past couple games for the Timberwolves. I don't have a high level of confidence that they're going to continue to start Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think it might make more sense to throw Torian Prince in there. Maybe even they'd start Kyle Anderson, but he started the past 2, so we're working under the assumption that Nickeil Alexander-Walker will start the next game for the Timberwolves as well. Unfortunately, we probably won't know that prior to lock, so you have to decide if you want to take that risk, but He's going to look like a really good value either way, because even if he's coming off the bench, he'd probably have a projection of like somewhere in the 20 to 22 range, I would guess. And with an Elton average of 9, he would still look like one of our best value plays on the slate. So honestly, doesn't matter all that much. Embiid obviously looks great. Elton of average of 50, projection of 65.5. But we also have a lot of players here. Uh, looking at the top of our value this year, a lot of players in the 30s and 40s, and it's just for the most part, it's players like LeBron, Kevin Durant were not really playing huge minutes to close out the regular season, so their L10 average is a little bit suppressed. Now, obviously, they're in the playoffs; they're playing big minutes here, and you can see it. It's reflected in their projection. Now they are great value. So really interesting now that we started the playoffs. I kind of feel like there's a lot of different ways to play this. You can go stars and scrubs with guys like Nikhil Alexander Walker. Torrey Craig started the last game for the Suns. He looks really good. Max Struess. You can see also all these injuries that happened in the game ones out there. Now we have some really nice values popping up. So you can either go stars and scrubs, but then we also have a lot of really nice mid-range values. You can see here in Darius Garland, Trey Young, even Kevin Durant, LeBron James, if you want to call them mid-range values. DeAndre Ayton, Cat, just a lot of really, really strong mid-range values. So honestly, I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can approach this slate. It's pretty fun, and I also think on this slate even more so than the regular season. So if you look at, and Greg and I already made this, but I'll show you my limited champion contest entry. So like for Embiid, I have a 22 and a half experience boost here, whereas some players, you don't have that. If you did not own the card prior to the playoffs, I'd be more inclined to break ties in a way where I'm using my cards of players that do have a boost here for because I own the card coming into the playoffs. So a little bit of a tiebreaker there for me. If I'm close, deciding, do I want to buy a new card or should I build a different way where I can use cards that I already have? I'm a little bit more inclined because of the playoff boost that you get for having the card coming into the playoffs. I'm a little bit more inclined to just use the cards I already have. I did go out and purchase this Nikhil Alexander Walker. That's what you can see here. I only have a 6.5% boost there. But in general, if I can, I would rather just use cards that are already in my collection. So that's a little something that you should probably be considering here in the playoffs. Did I already have the card coming in? Maybe I should build a little bit different rather than trying to purchase new cards. But I think there are a lot of interesting players out there. Like if you think Giannis is going to miss, then this Javon Carter, they've said he would start if Giannis doesn't play the next game. Javon Carter is suddenly going to look really nice if Giannis doesn't play. I also actually think Torian Prince is an interesting play because, as I said, I have Nikhil Alexander Walker in this lineup, but I do think that there's a pretty good chance that the Timberwolves mix it up after getting just crushed by the Nuggets in game one. It was a little bit surprising to me that they started Nikhil Alexander Walker in that game because the reasoning for starting him the game prior didn't really apply. But maybe it just worked against the Thunder, and they decided, you know what, we won handily against the Thunder. We'll just run it back with the same starting lineup. Maybe they switch it up now that it did not work this time out. But yeah, as you can see here, I think there are a lot of Torian Prince's interesting to me. Javon Carter, pretty interesting. Marcus Smart, 26. That actually seems a little bit low for Marcus Smart to me. Of course, Tyus Jones, if John Morant misses, which I think he's probably going to miss at least one game, Tyus Jones, interesting, decent value, 28, not extremely low because John Morant did miss several games toward the end of the season as well. Obviously, Chris Middleton will look better if Giannis misses as well. Ja would look really good at this 38 price tag if we knew for sure that he was going to play. I'm not confident that Ja is going to play during this period, so probably not playing that. Anthony Edwards looks really good, one of our better values at 39. And of course, Kevin Durant, as I mentioned earlier, L10 of 41, and now he's playing full minutes. So Kevin Durant obviously looks like a great play as well. So lot of different ways to set this up, different types of lineup constructions you can build here. I don't think that, I think sometimes during the regular season or toward the end of the regular season, you always want to just build stars and scrubs because we had so many really strong value plays as teams were tanking. Now we're in the playoffs. That doesn't apply anymore. And we have actually our nicest values are mid-range plays. Some of the stars who weren't playing full run at the end of the season. So things have changed a little. I think you can build a little bit more balanced here, or you can go, I mean, this is sort of stars and scrubsy, but I only played one, really expensive player in Joel Embiid, and he's my MVP. So outside of Embiid, this is, I would say, rather rather balanced. Although Nikhil Alexander Walker a little bit stars and scrubsy, but fairly balanced. Again, a lot of different ways to approach it, but honestly, I would always just start by going to stochastic, finding our projections. I think this is your best gauge for what's going to work, what isn't. Maybe you disagree in some spots. Like if you think, for example, Torian Prince is starting instead of Nikhil Alexander Walker, obviously Prince is then going to look like the better value relative to Nah, probably. So a lot of different things that you consider, but definitely the best starting place for looking at who's going to be a good value on this slate, who's going to be projecting really well. So highly recommend checking that out. And of course, highly recommend if you are new, highly recommend signing up for Sorare. I think it's super fun. I've been playing it for a couple months now, and now we're in the playoffs. It's even more fun. So definitely sign up for Sorare. Use the link in our description and just buy 5 cards on the marketplace. Get a 6-1 for free. I think it's a great deal. So check that out. That'll do it for this video. Good luck this week.